When a central authority vanishes, it rarely leaves a peaceful, empty throne. It shatters the structural integrity of the entire world. In the Second Era, the sudden disappearance of a continental ruler tore apart centuries of carefully maintained political unity in an instant. This animated map shows exactly how that collapse plays out. A single unified landmass fractured overnight into dozens of isolated, paranoid factions, each carving out new borders. An empty throne is a dangerous force in geopolitics. It generates an unsustainable vacuum that pulls every surrounding kingdom into its center. For 900 years, the interregnum map was defined by chaotic border shifts, as no single entity could gain dominance. Elven, Nord, and desert leaders possessed equal military forces, trapping them in an endless cycle of unwinnable border wars with zero net progress. Regional kings fell into a psychological trap. They became so obsessed with defending tiny strips of territory that they grew blind to the macro-continent around them. The Tamrielic political system had reached a point of systemic paralysis. Localized ambition was incapable of overcoming the inertia of a fractured continent. Breaking a 900-year deadlock required a strategic anomaly. That arrived in the form of a commander named Tiber Septim. Where regional kings saw permanent borders, he looked at the map and saw a landscape of inefficient administrative units ready for integration. He began by establishing absolute trust with his localized army. Only after securing that unshakable foundation did he attempt to project his power outward. Conquering a fragmented world requires a specific cognitive shift. You have to visualize a unified map in your mind before you can force it into reality. This flowchart maps out his methodology, known as the Great Conquest. He used a calculated, dual-pronged approach to dismantle the chaos: absolute force and diplomatic integration. The first mechanism was straightforward military might, overwhelming force applied mercilessly to factions that stubbornly clung to the old world order. The second mechanism was strategic diplomacy. He offered highly favorable treaties and assimilation to any leader willing to align with his macro vision. This map demonstrates the accelerating domino effect of his strategy. Every assimilated region immediately added massive resources and manpower to his overarching machine, creating unstoppable compound momentum. Eventually, the system reached a tipping point. The last pockets of regional resistance collapsed under their own weight, erasing 900 years of deeply entrenched borders. Chaos is not a permanent state. It is merely the raw, scattered material required for a visionary to forge a new reality. The definitive end of the interregnum marked the birth of the Third Empire. New physical mechanisms locked this stability into place. Connected imperial roads replaced open battlefields, and unified laws replaced regional paranoia. The citizens experienced a profound psychological shift. After 9 centuries of isolationist survival, they had to adopt a brand new, shared continental identity. Successful unification overwrites a fractured reality, transitioning millions from local survival into a shared continental identity. But Tiber Septim's success triggered one final consequence, shifting the focus from his physical empire to his long-term historical legacy. The transition began as the memory of the 9th-century war faded, replaced by decades of uninterrupted internal peace under a single name. As the direct witnesses of his mortal life died out, cultural memory began to attribute the sudden era of stability to something beyond human capability. Priests and bards eventually canonized the emperor as the god Talos. History demonstrates that while empires fall, the individuals who end centuries of chaos weave a vacuum so large that only a myth can fill it.